Milestones are the last reason you should watch Race Baseball this week.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rays podcast. Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we are Kevin and Ulysses.
We are lifelong Rays fans who've been podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
Later on today's program, we look at how catcher framing will be less important in the coming years. In a few minutes, MLB is going automated in 2026 with their ball and strike calls. But to start, we discuss what the Rays have left to play for, milestones.
And we're going to talk about all of that thanks to you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing, for hitting that like button all the time, creating that Locked On Rays community that has grown and grown and grown since 2019. And we thank you all. Kevin, milestones, that's what the last week is about. Milestones, momentum, building for what's next. And there are a few characters out there that have some milestones that they could reach, which we've been talking about, and we'll keep talking about them because that's what's left for Rays fans. Just milestones to watch. That's it.
Playoffs isn't it? I guess you could still finish 500 theoretically, but that's going to take a Hail Mary plus a miracle and beyond. But really the big ticket item, of course, is Junior Caminero chasing history, trying to get to 47 home runs where he would break Carlos Pena's single season home run record for the Rays. And maybe not mentioned as much as it should, but he would tie Eddie Matthews for most home runs by a 21-year-old in the modern era. Simultaneous to that, Yandy Diaz has been on a tear of late, and if he can still tread water for the remainder of the season, he'll be hitting above 300. He's at 302 right now, plus the 25 bombs. We can thank him for all the home runs. We can thank Junior for all the home runs. We can thank Brandon Lowe for the 30 home runs. But that is the other thing that I think a couple weeks ago, I wanted to mention it, but I felt like it would have been a little bit too hot takey because I think he was batting like 290 at that time. So he'd really have to go on a run. And he's been on a run because he was named AL Player of the Week due to a massive hot run he's been of late. And I'm really praying and hoping that he can stick above the 300 mark because it was rare to do in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, but it's really rare to do in the 2020s.
It's been incredible to watch Yandy this season. Yes, he started slow just like he did last year. So maybe that's something for Rays fans to in 2026. Don't freak out. I think Yandy Diaz is the guy you should not freak out about. Every year, he's consistent. Every year, he's going to be incredibly valuable. And that's why every year, we should be looking at that front office and saying, no, don't touch Yandy. Do not touch Yandy.
Unless they want to sell high after his, 2025
You could have said that after 2023 as well. 2024 is good too. I feel like enough with the selling at the highest value just because we have to fight. No, sometimes you can just keep players because you're paying him $11 million in 2026.
Yeah. Return on investment might not be quite as much of the return on investment as Stu Sternberg selling the Rays to Zalewski, but it's still a pretty dang good return on investment if you're running the Rays.
You're not going to just get that production. And pretty crazy about milestones because we did say, okay, it would be pretty good for him to reach that 300 batting average, which I know batting average is not the same of what it used to be, especially among younger baseball fans. But you ask any baseball player, they'd like to hit 300. They want to hit 300. And Yandy was not maybe 32 games ago. He was hitting 272. 272. This guy is so good that in a month, the last month of baseball, he upped his average by 30 bleeping points. If you have been watching baseball as long as we have, you know that, or if you're really into math, you know that is incredibly difficult. 30 points in April, easy peasy to increase or decrease. But in August to September, to jump 30 points with all the at-bats and plate appearances that you've had so far, that's incredible. So kudos to Yandy. Kudos to Junior for being so close to Carlos Pena's record. He still has his shot. And another milestone that I know we talked about, Chandler Simpson being in the 40 stolen base club for the Rays, which is not that big of a club. The dude still potentially has the chance to reach 50. I know it would have to be a kind of a wild week, but it's still there because you know the talent that he has to swipe 3 a game.
Right. Hey, if Yandy Diaz can hit 591 in a span of 7 games, Chandler Simpson can steal X number of bases to get to that marker. And what I'll also say, not to make this a total Yandy Diaz milestone focused topic or segment, but he's at 146 games played right now, which is the most he's ever played in any single season. He still has time to get to 150. I think that's also kind of a cool fact figure right there. So kudos to Yandy, kudos to Brandon Lowe, kudos to Junior Caminero, kudos to the others. Hey, young players, young talent, take notes on what Yandy Diaz is doing as far as collecting the hits. He's got the combination of hits, homers, on base percentage, walks, anything and everything, and well-deserved that AL Player of the Week. And I'll also note this before we move on to other topics. Junior Caminero, whether or not he gets to 47 home runs this year, again, a stretch to get to that, standing at 44 with not too many games left. I kind of get a little bit of an impression that, well, that's a high mark to overcome. Just a rookie year, 21 years old, going on 22 years old. You hit 44 homers in a year. How do you repeat that? How do you replicate that next year? And if he goes and hits 32 to 36 homers in 2026, I feel like people will be looking at that as a disappointment.
I think,
which is crazy.
It's insane because you'd be saying a 22-year-old, 23-year-old is hitting 34 bombs, and you're like, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we're expecting 55. We're expecting Cal Raleigh numbers. Well, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. And you know what? Let's do a Rays comparison of another guy who just hit another milestone in Brandon Lowe with 30 home runs. Not a lot of guys have hit 2 seasons of 30 home runs, by the way. Brandon Lowe now has done that. If you ask people what's Brandon Lowe's best season, they would point to 2021. But you look at this season, man, Brandon Lowe's 2025 season is pretty darn good. But if you compare it to his peak in 2021, yeah, people would say, well, yeah, that's a disappointment. I think it's easy to do that, but that's why Locked On Rays fans are incredibly smart. And they're going to go like, wait, we're just looking at one particular stat in home runs and deciding if this guy had a better season or not. Maybe Junior Caminero next year hits 35 bombs. But guess what? Instead of an on base hovering around 300, maybe he puts that at 330, 340, 350, 360. And now you're getting more of a complete player. And that could actually help the whole roster, the lineup construction in a better way than just hitting a bunch of homers like he did. But let's go from milestones to no more gut feelings. The MLB's 2026 ABS system is here. The NFL season is almost here. Kevin is psyched, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. That's $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Sounds like a pretty good deal, people. And what makes FanDuel amazing is that it's quick, easy, and it's the best way to add a little green Skittles on your Sunday that you don't know where to put them. Well, you can use FanDuel for that. You got same game parlays, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Thank you for joining Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. guess what, people? The ABS challenge system is here. In 2026, MLB has said, look, the automated ball strike challenge system is a full implementation for the 2026 season after some trials in spring training this year. And of course, it's been in the minor leagues. The All-Star game, it's done, Kev.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think we both have said in the past that we need to get the calls right.
Right.
Like you need, if I want a strike to be a strike and I want a ball to be a ball. I just don't want this to become a slower obstacle for the pace of the game. Like if this is going to now take us back to 3-hour games, fam, go nuts. Go Angel Hernandez. Go CB Buckner on me. Whatever. Give me a 2-hour 20 minutes than a 3-hour 20 minutes because of the whole tapping the helmet and giving me the right call. I don't know if you agree.
No, I'm with you, and I think that's been one of the MOs for Rob Manfred and his leadership is we want to modernize the game and not have 3.5 hour, 4-hour games. And I think that this decision was made with enough data to say, okay, we think this is good for baseball and it's not going to add that much time. I mean, if we look at spring training data, there was an average of 4.1 challenges per game, with each review taking roughly 13.8 seconds. So on average, you might be adding another minute or two to the course of the game, which I think is justifiable to get the calls right. And again, there's a limited number of challenges. You do get an additional challenge per extra inning. So yeah, that might extrapolate the game a little bit, but how many times have we been frustrated, especially in the playoffs, with a bad call that can literally change the course and transition of a game and lead to a loss?
Two that I can remember vividly. I'll go from most recent to older. 2021. 2021, Boston, ALDS, Eduardo Rodriguez on the mound, and a ball like neck high to Wander Franco.
Yes.
Neck high. And that was called a strike. I remember that. That's a game changer in the playoffs, and we know how that series ended in 2021 in Fenway. Another one I can remember. This is for the OGs here. If you're a kiddo, you might not have been even on the earth. Okay? You were not even a thought. Texas. The old Texas Stadium. Joe Nathan on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Zobrist at the plate. Breaking ball. It smelled the dirt. That's how close it was, that baseball. And you're out of here. Yeah. Get out of here.
No.
Ben Zobrist, the nicest human being on the bleeping planet Earth. And I've never seen Ben Zobrist that upset.
Yeah. I get it. I understand it to some extent. Okay. Wander Franco, young player, rookie level player, has a lot of self-importance and, thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he may have been, or may have developed to be that. But the Ben Zobrist thing, like, how can you do it to a, tested vet? And really, I think what I like about this is it brings accountability to the umpires, because I feel like the umpires have gone rogue and rampant with making the game about them with some of the strike calls and the ball calls. And it's almost like they want their name on the back of the jersey or on the back of their uniform.
They've gone unchecked, Gav, and we've done this very many times. If you know an umpire's name, that isn't a good news. Like that isn't a green flag. It's usually a red flag, and they've gone unchecked because their union, which
strong union,
right?
Hey, go Teamsters.
Go right. But my gosh, that is a strong bleeping union. You can't do anything to an umpire.
Hey,
How can you be bad at your job and have no repercussions, no fines?
Yeah.
You can just say anything. You can eject anybody, and you are unchecked. At least this is going to bring a little bit of, hey, you were wrong.
Yeah.
You were wrong. You can admit that you're wrong. And, you've heard from players that there are some umpires that are good, and they'll tell you, hey, sorry about that. I checked it later. That's on me. That's not bad. But the ones that are regularly bad, they need to be held accountable. And I think this, in some shape or form, is going to, hold them accountable. Because, Kevin, let's remind folks, umpires don't go to the media. It's very rare for umpires to be interviewed after a game. And if they are, it's one umpire, sometimes not even the umpire in question of the bad call, right? Maybe the crew chief, right? Who might have not even been close to the play. And it's one reporter usually that goes to talk to the umpire. So it's completely unchecked. They're completely in bubble wrap. And at least this is one way that you can say, okay, they're being held accountable.
Well, in my experience, that's how unions work. They protect the worst employees, whether they're police, fire, public works, or umpires. But I think one thing, the challenge system isn't going to add that much time, and it brings more intrigue and interest. I mean, I remember in spring training games where everybody would pause and look at the scoreboard and want to know, hey, did they get it right or did they get it wrong? So it brings another level of excitement to the game without something that might not be that exciting, and you can get it. You've got a great chance to get it correct. And I mean, we're kind of being populist in this sense. Fan feedback was overwhelmingly positive with this. Like a vast majority, a major majority of fans like the idea, like upwards of 70% compared to 30% that wanted the human only call. So at some point you got to listen to the fans, you got to listen to the crowd. And if they want this, they call for it, then hey, institute it. I honestly would have thought that MLB would have taken another couple years to maybe analyze the data from spring training, minor leagues, all-star games, so on and so forth. But they're like, hey, we got enough to roll on this thing. And they feel like they have the technology correct. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a learning scale, and there might be some technological issues along the way. But at the end of the day, they should be able to get it figured out. And if we can make one wrong call in a game correct, whether that's for the Rays or against the Rays, ultimately, I think that's a good thing. Each team begins a game with 2 challenges and extra innings. If a team is run out, they will receive 1 challenge per extra inning, starting with the 10th.
Perfect.
So, yeah. So it's a good start, I think. And now the question is, how does this system affect players, the strike zone, the strategy of the game? Pitching framers, if you're a catcher, beware. We'll talk about it next. Well, guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet's Go Long comes in. This isn't just another ED pill. It is a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, giving you confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. You can connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head over to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure to use our code so they know we sent you. Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast and making us your first listen every day. We appreciate it. We are, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the automatic ball strike system, aka ABS for short, will be implemented in the 2026 season at the MLB level. And one of the things that stands out is how this de-emphasizes catcher framing. We know there's been some great framing catchers presently and throughout Rays history, and that will take a back seat with this new technology. So you better be a good blocker. You better be a good receiver. You better be able to throw runners out. Dare I say it, you better bring more offensive punch if you're a catcher. And this might kind of, I guess, lead to evolution of catchers and what they're going to focus on and what not to focus on going forward, among the other positions and the pitchers and the strategy going forward as well.
Definitely, we'll see some strategies go team by team. Obviously, one team is going to figure out better than others on when to challenge, what would give us the best reward for challenging.
Yeah, when to use the challenges. Hey, wait till a high leverage count or the later innings, so on.
Right. Only if you're 2-1, 3-1, maybe before. I don't think certain players are not going to be given that authority. We joked around in spring training. Like, I don't think like highly emotional players are going to be given the green light from Kevin Cash. I'm looking at you, Pete Fairbanks. I'm sorry. Love what you do, but I don't think emotional high, they're going to be seen clearly in that moment. So maybe that's something that we see as a strategy. But you said something there with the evolution of catching that I think really is the biggest point here. You are unavoidably going to be changing the way that catchers are evaluated, what is being presented as a good catcher, what you need from a catcher. And it's kind of worrisome in some way if we want to go dystopian here. Because if you no longer have to be a good framer because of ABS, I mean, it's not ABS every single call, guys, but like, let's just say the framing matters less. We can say that framing will matter less than it does now. Okay. Then you also have bigger bases already established from a couple years ago.
Correct.
So you are already going to be knowing that there's a higher success rate in the bases. So you can't just throw out runners like you should have before. So it's going to be more difficult. So that's another disadvantage. So what's the deal with the catchers? I don't mean to go all Jerry Seinfeld only. Like, what's the deal with catchers in 2026? But like, really, what's the deal with catchers in 2026? Because like, if you don't really need to throw out runners because you're just going to give away the running game, if you don't really need to frame as much as you do because of the ABS system, well, I guess we're just going to see Kyle Schwarber be back in action behind the plate. That's a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge there for people. Kyle Schwarber started as a catcher for those youngins. Just, hey, get the biggest guy on the roster to squat down and bob 30 bombs. Like, is that where catching position is heading towards?
I mean, I would think that your main priority is, can you, assuming there's runners on base, that you can keep the ball in front of you. And to your point, I think that the offensive side is going to be a lot more stressed if you're a catcher. What I mean by that is there will be a greater expectation for offensive production. If we're not using you for your arm to throw runners out, if we're not using you for your glove to frame as much, and you're just there to make sure that the pitch stays in front of you and doesn't get past you, you better bring a little more something to the table. And that might also allow for guys who, kind of had to move from the catcher position, who had some offensive potential, and say, hey, you're not a really good framer. You just don't have the accuracy or the momentum on your throws to second or third or whatnot. I mean, maybe it kind of all figures out where you say, hey, you don't need all those defensive skills anymore. So we can keep you as a catcher and work you up through the ranks of AA, AAA, and beyond. So I mean, this is honestly, if you're the Rays, this is a prime opportunity to try to mold and foster somebody who has some sort of lifeline of offensive punch at that position.
And you might see the opposite of a Jose Molina, right? Except
Yeah.
like you can have a Jose Molina frame, but give me some power.
Right.
And I don't care that you can't throw out runners. I don't care that you can't frame, because you're at least giving me what I need, which is, like you said, keep the pitches in front of you. Blocking might be now the biggest thing now, is just don't let that pitch get away from you. And I know maybe we're going a little bit hyperbolic here, because not every pitch is going to have to be ABS'd. Did we just invent that?
I think we did. Yeah. ABS. There we go.
TM, thank you very much. Copyright lawyers that listen to Locked On Rays, work on that. Thank you very much.
Going to be in the phonics book.
Please and thank you. Not every pitch is going to be ABS. So obviously framing is going to matter, and not everybody's going to be stealing from you. But we're just saying that what matters now in 2025 is going to matter less.
Yeah.
And by mattering less, other things that didn't matter as much now are closer to those things. I don't know.
Yes.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the evolution of catchers.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll see how it evolves going forward. Again, I think there'll be a learning curve there. And to your point about, I'm sure the Rays are every team, but they are working on a guidebook for their players and coaches as to when is the most opportune time to use these challenges. Here's who is allowed to make these, like Yandy Diaz. Okay, if you think of a pitch as a ball and not a strike, all right, well, we'll give you the free rein to that. If you're a rookie player who doesn't have a great understanding of the strike zone, yeah, maybe hold off on that, depending on the situation and how many challenges you've won before that and to that point. But I think in that would be a good, hey, just pitching articles as an editor here for Mark Topkin. That's a good spring training fodder piece of how are the Rays attacking the ABS and how they're going to maximize it to get that extra 2%, if you will.
And it would be kind of fun just to give another Topkin shout out here. What would be your podium of players to give that green light? You know, I mean,
because it's only the pitcher, the catcher, the batter can call it.
Exactly. So in that case, who are your pitchers that you're willing to give that green light? Who are your hitters that you're going to give that green light? It'll be very interesting for sure.
Might have to be a segment on the show next week. Put it in the comments who you would give the green light to on the Rays. In the meantime, we hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you later.